Hello everyone, Tactical Lich here. Today we have a quick practice match between myself playing as the Wood Elves versus Bujalicious playing as High Elves, and as you can see here, I'm going for a full melee rush army outside of Orion's missile attacks really. So basically, the Wood Elves Swift Shiver Shards received a lot of attention after their recent buffs. However, I do want to put the focus back onto their super powerful melee rush, in my opinion. So here we are going with a full front line of War Dances, 4 units of them, backed up by a ton of armor-piercing spears, a couple Eternal Gods with shields, and a single War Dances with Azrai spears. They are supported by a bunch of mobility in the form of 2 Glade Riders and a couple Zotes with their Bound, Earthblood, and Flesh to Stone spells. Leading the army Orion with Hawk's Talon, a very nice bombardment ability with 100% bombardment armor-piercing damage, and then supported by the Branch Wraith with Melkoth's Mystifying Miasma and more Earthblood. Oh, and also there's the Horn of the Wild Hunt from Orion to get that extra charge impact damage with the charge bonus. On the other side of the battlefield, Bujalicious High Elves, a staunch line of 3 Spearmen unit, backed up by 2 more Archers in light armor, and 2 more units of Lothern Sea Gods with shields. As for mobility support, a couple Illyrian Reaver Archers, 3 War Lions, one of them Rahagra's Pride, and also 1 more unit of Fireborn, anti-large armor-piercing fire damage. Very nice elite mobility. In this guy's leading the army, Tackless on his Skittles bird, coming in with Flock of Doom and Net of Amentok, no regrowth, so no healing to any of his elite cavalry or War Lions or himself. Well, there is healing ability for himself, Potion of Sharoi, but that's about it. And yeah, that's it for army builds. Now let's get the battle started. Ironically, despite playing as Wood Elves, I'm getting outgunned by the High Elves here and will be outkited, especially with the Illyrian Reaver Archers on the field. So yeah, with my Wood Elf melee rush, I'll just have to close in the distance as soon as possible. Thankfully, I do have the Woven Mist, a 40% missile resistance buff to my War Dancer front line at the sacrifice of some melee defense. They will help me mitigate a ton of incoming archer fire. A 20% physical resistance plus the missile resistance means that is a total of minus 60% damage from all these high elf archers, and the war dancers will stay relatively safe from the archers of High Elves. Speaking of the High Elf archers, they're shooting at Orion, who will be juking the shots and dropping in a Hawk's Talon, trying to chip away some health from these archer line, doing some entity kills as well, which is pretty nice. War Dancers at the same time are charging in as Orion distracts the archers and Lothern Sea Guard. Thanks to the Woven Mist, the War Dancers are braving the volleys of arrow raining into their ranks and are getting into charging distance relatively fine. They do have to remember turning off the Woven Mist because that minus 24 melee defense is gonna screw them over big time in a melee fight. The charge reflection on the braced spears and their meager 22 melee attack is more than enough to inflict damage on my War Dancers with only 14 melee defense. But once they turn off Woven Mist, their HP will start to stabilize. These War Dancers being pinned by Net of Amentok will be using the Woven Mist to face tank those point-blank archer fire from the High Elves. Some of my Glade Riders still overchased on the Illyrian Reaver Archers and got wrecked by a countercharge from the Fireborn. And on the far side, War Dancers are also pushing, but the War Lions charging in will be inflicting significant casualties on the rather light-massed War Dancers. My mobility will be moving in to support, and the Azrai Spears as well, so the War Lions will be forced to pull back for now, as Spears are coming in to try and intercept the War Dancers with Azrai Spears. But for some reason, despite their 50 melee defense, the War Dancers' Azrai Spears are still managing to inflict significant damage onto these spears, while on the far side their War Dancers are making short work of the spears, forcing the Fireborn to charge in, but that also exposes them to a countercharge from the Zotes and the Eternal Gods, a Melkoth's Mystifying Miasma, draining away their HP as well, and they will be forced to pull back as they are just leaving the spears to the mercy of all these Wood Elf army here. And on top of that, a Hawk's Talon bombarding the Lothern Sea Guard and the Fireborn, inflicting some pretty nice damage. Zotes on the other side rear charging the spear front line, freeing up the War Dancers who are engaging the High Elf front line there. and the Zotes will be moving on to the High Elf back line. Some War Dancers managed to catch the light armored archers, and in a few seconds of contact already put a visible dent on the archer's HP bar. Rahagra's Pride charging them from behind, trying to stop them from cutting down more archers. The other archer unit also got caught, this time by Zotes, and more War Dancers flooding in. War Lions are nearby, but they do not want to deal with all these anti-large Wood Elves. The other War Lion is doing that, actually, charging into Eternal Gods and Zotes, which is not gonna end well for them. War Lions are not that tanky, and they're getting absolutely clobbered by the Zotes and the Eternal Gods in the melee fight. Another Malkov's Mystifying Miasma, this time on to the Illyrian Reaver archers, as the Fireborn is a bit far away from the Branch Rave. So yeah, the skirmishing firepower will be the target of the spell. As for the Fireborn, they're charging into the War Dancer blob over here, but they do have to be careful because some of these War Dancers are Azorite Spears, which have anti-large and armor piercing. Perfect counter to the Fireborn. They don't want to stay in there for too long, since every second they spend in the blob of Azorite Spears are more comrades falling to the War Dancer's lethal attacks. If you've watched my previous content, you might know that I'm a massive Zote advocate, as they are a very strong anti-large troop with a bunch of strong supporting abilities, just like here wrecking another unit of War Lions. Back to the Zotes on the other side, they might have eaten a charge from the Fireborn, but they are definitely hitting back hard, especially when the Eternal Gods are coming in to help drag down those elite High Elf cavalry. Zotes have magic attacks, armor piercing, and anti-large, bypassing all the defenses that a Dragon Prince can rely on. And combined with a Malkov's Mystifying Miasma, the last bit of these Fireborn's HP are drained away. War Dancers manage to eliminate some of the remaining archers, and they will be charged by the Rahagra's Pride and Teclis himself. These archers also swarmed by the Wood Elf Spears, so no more regular archers for the High Elves. A Flock of Doom, though, very nicely placed on my triple spear unit. Both Eternal Gods and one War Dancers with Azorite Spears all getting drained away by Teclis' spell. Teclis himself, though, a little bit of slip up being caught in melee. Zotes are all pouring in, and that means Teclis needs to bail from the fight, especially when Orion is nearby. The Rahagra's Pride has been doing some really effective psycho charging between the War Dancer units, using their anti-infantry bonus to their advantage here. They've done a lot of heavy lifting against the Wood Elf infantry, but here comes the Zotes, something that they're not designed to fight, so they really need to pull back before they take too much damage, which is exactly what they're doing. So Bujalicious is keeping those War Lions on the run, making sure they're not stuck in melee for too long. Very nice job there. On the far side there, Branch Wraith engaging the Lofen Sea God. Eternal Gods coming in to support, so the Branch Wraith is no longer alone. Another net of Amentok, I believe, onto the Zotes, preventing them from reinforcing this fight, buying some time for Teclis to jump in with the Skittle Spurt and maybe snipe out the Branch Wraith, though the Eternal God in the vicinity would be a threat to the large entities here, including the War Lions and Teclis himself. On the other side, the Rahagra's Pride once again charging into combat, this time sandwiching the Zotes with another unit of War Lions. But the Zotes are fighting back for sure. War Dancers also fending off the Fireborn with the help of Orion, and now Orion comes in. The leader of the Wild Hunt stabs those Rahagra's Pride with his anti-large spear, and that pushes off the rest of the War Lions for now. Illyrian Reaver archers and archers all firing into the Zotes, but do remember that Zotes have that Flesh to Stone bound spell, providing an additional 60% physical resistance, combining with their scaly skins of 25% missile resistance. That is a total reduction of 85% missile damage from all these archer fire, so the Zotes are handling themselves just fine. The War Dancers, though, being hit by a Flock of Doom, and on top of that, Unbraced, charged by the Illyrian Reaver archers, will be taking substantial casualties and will be seen off by Teclis and the Illyrian Reaver archers. Zotes are nearby, though, so the Illyrian Reaver archers and Teclis cannot really afford to stay in the fight and chase down the War Dancers. At this point, battle is taking place all over the map. The Rahagra's Pride is being chased by one separated unit of Zotes, while the other Zotes are just wrecking some poor archers. I do believe this Earth Blood here, healing both the Eternal Gods and the Zotes, comes from the Branch Wraith with a little bit of visual effect on the character. Teclis diving down trying to snipe out my spell support, but here comes the Zotes fending off the Skittle Spurt. A little bit of a Flock of Doom here, though not exactly effective against my character and the Zotes. So Teclis will be retreating, knowing that he can't beat the Zotes in melee fight. Even if he tries to focus the Branch Wraith, the Zolt's dampening effect can simply remove his magical attacks, allowing the Branch Wraith's physical resistance to mitigate Teclis damage. Rahagra's Pride, these loyal kitty cats are still fighting. Being a regiment of renown, they are slamming into some war dancers, not doing that much damage though, unfortunately, because of how depleted they are. And then the Zolts are pouring in, surrounding the Elven Reaver archers and the Rahagra's Pride. Another Earthblood giving me even more balance of power, healing up the Zolt and the Branch Wraith, even these routed war dancers, while the High Elves are running out of support, so Bujalicious will be throwing in the towel. GG to Bujalicious, and thank you for the game. Now for the army performances, War Dancers, holy hell, 200 kills on the High Elves and over 1,100 gold worth of damage value, some really solid performance. The other 3 War Dancers, one of them did pretty well, over 100 kills as well, but the other 2 not so much. Azrai Spears did some okay damage, but overall really it's the Zolts that are carrying the game. I kind of throw away the Glade Riders early, but the Zolt really just throwing in heals, throwing in those flesh to stone physical resistance, and anti-large armor piercing attack clobbering the Fireborn, killing the Lions as well, being absolute solid linebackers. Orion did alright, not exactly the best performance, but considering he didn't actually take that much damage, it's fine, I would say. Considering how healthy he is, he can absolutely take down Teclis in the late game with the help of some Zolt. As for the High Elves, Teclis used his terror on his Skittlesbird to rout off my War Dancers, getting some pretty good work against my infantry, and then on top of that, Flock of Dooms to drain away the health of my infantry. The rest of the High Elves not doing too hot here. The archers did okay, but not exactly the best here, since a lot of the missile damage got mitigated by the Woven Mist. Fireborn got wrecked due to the lack of healing and was not able to recover, and the Elven Reaver archers plus the regular War Lions did alright, but not that amazing. The unit that performed great was actually the Rahagra's Pride. As I said, Bujalicious did a really good job ping-ponging with these War Lions Regiment of Renown around my War Dancers, maximizing the benefits from the anti-infantry bonus, and the War Dancers were run down pretty effectively with all the rear charging and cycle charging. Very nice job from the War Lions, and it seems that they're once again clawing their way back to the meta. And yeah, that's it for today's video. I hope you all enjoyed the battle, and if you want to see more multiplayer replays, be sure to subscribe to my channel. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Tactical Itch, signing out.